to abandon ship.
Oh no!
Here we go.
Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition.
Here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod and our first after show review for The Bad Batch Season 2. That's right, episodes 1 and 2. We have Spoils of War and Ruins of War, the opening premiere to the second season of Clone Force 99's story in the overarching Star Wars saga. And we have your co-host Blake and our good friend Bryce returning to the Escape Pod to chat all about The Bad Batch. Let's get into it.
Another happy landing.
All right, welcome back, boys.
Hey, good to be
Hello.
It's been quite a year. I mean, you know, last week we only just talked about all the things that we had last year to digest in the Star Wars fandom, and now here we are in 2023 kicking things off with another season of The Bad Batch and so much more to look forward to. So,
Yeah, seriously. And honestly, after our big chat last week, I'm still just kind of flabbergasted with how much Star Wars content we've gone over and just how much that's happened in the last year alone. It's pretty nuts.
oh yeah.
When you're just chugging on it, you know, week to week, you don't really think about it too much. You look back, it's like, man, there's actually a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely listened to the podcast, but maybe just for people who didn't, weren't here last week, what's the most exciting thing that you guys are looking forward to?
Well, yeah, you know what? I don't think we even asked each other that, did we?
Well, all of it.
Is that the whole thing?
All of it, yeah. Can I choose everything?
Yeah, no. What's like the thing you're looking forward to most?
Oh yeah, this is kind of like a really like, I don't know, maybe it's a meta answer or not, but I'm really looking forward to what they're going to announce at Celebration.
Because nothing on the list is good enough
Yeah.
for Josh.
Yeah. I mean, like, because I've already been excited about the shows that are coming this year. That I'm kind of excited to see what they announce for later this year or whatever, right?
You just want more.
Yeah,
I want more. Never satisfied this guy.
I want more.
But I know I shouldn't.
And I know I shouldn't.
Disney's holding me back.
Disney, it's holding me back. It's all Bob Iger's. It's all Bob Iger's fault. No, Bob Iger. We like Bob Iger. All right, let's take.
Well, I didn't get to answer.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
It's all about you.
You go ahead.
I think probably Ahsoka, honestly.
Yeah,
Ahsoka.
I feel like that's going to be... There's just so much that was left off with Rebels, and I really hope that they're going to touch base and kind of go that direction.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
a
that'd be
good
super cool.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like one of the first kind of major characters we're seeing like go from a animated to live action? From like Rebels or is there someone else?
I think it's definitely the first time that any of them has gotten their own show. But
right,
I mean,
we've had like cameos, right? But this is like a main character, right?
Yeah. Like the first one being Saw Gerrera, who had been in Clone Wars before and that showed up in Rogue One, and then Bo-Katan is a notable one, Ahsoka another. So you know we've certainly had kind of those pop ups here and there. But yeah, I mean, I think the fact that she's got her own show.
This is kind of big time, yeah.
Yeah, this show is going to be most notably the show that is going to be responsible for live action Sabine Wren and Harrison Yula and the castings out there.
That's right. Yeah, they casted it. So was that a reveal or did people figure that out?
Yeah. So the Sabine Wren actress, she came out on the celebration stage last year, and the Hera thing is. Just more recently, just kind of like I don't know if it's actually official or not, but it's one of those things that's just like everybody just knows, right. Just like around the Twitter sphere and everything. So yeah, the rumor is, which I don't think it's official yet, but the rumor is that it's Ewan McGregor's wife, the girl from what was it? Bryce, you see that 21 Cloverfield Lane movie? Or Fargo.
What's her name? Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Winstead. Elizabeth Winston.
Yeah. Elizabeth Mary Winstead, I think. So yeah. So she actually married Ewan McGregor after they did Fargo together. And,
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the running theory. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. And of course, Ezra Bridger is going to make his live action debut because they've been. I mean. It'd be kind of stupid if you just didn't show up again. But yeah. And then, of course, Thrawn. Thrawn is another one. Thrawn is another live action portrayal.
He's going to show up?
I mean, if it's not in Ahsoka, it'll be in another follow-up show. But yeah, really? he'll be another great, hopefully they do it right, because I
hope they give Ezra Bridger the exact same plasticky square haircut. Just
the purplish blue hair.
I want them to do that in live action. It'd be very funny.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's a good choice. So good. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
you guys been really looking forward to Bad Batch?
Oh man. Am I ever? But yeah, actually, I'd like to hear you answer your own question there. What do you most look forward to this year?
Oh man. I don't even know, to be honest. I've definitely been watching everything as it comes out, but there's so much coming out that it's hard to keep on top of what's coming up, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's what are the big shows coming up right now? Because there's Ahsoka, right? There's Mando 3, season 3. What else?
Well, Visions Volume 2.
Oh, see, I love Visions. I didn't even know there was more Visions coming out. So I love Visions a lot.
Yeah.
And that one's going to be extra interesting, I think, because they've opened it up globally, so it's not just Japanese studios. So I'm curious to see, different areas of the planet and their kind of take on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if there's another Visions coming up, that is what I'm stoked for.
Yeah, and then there's a new game, Jedi Survivor. So that's another one. Yeah.
I like that game way more than I thought I would. So I'm excited for that.
And Mandalorian Season 3, of course. That's also coming out in March, I believe it is. So, yeah, lots to look forward to, yeah. But yeah, Bad Batch. Let's start breaking this down, shall we? So, Season 2, Episode 1 and 2, Spoils of War and Ruins of War. So, Spoils of War is the first episode, and it takes place a couple months since the desolation of Camino. I actually rewatched all of Season 1 in preparation for Season 2.
Yeah.
And it was a good thing I did because I just, there's a lot that I couldn't actually remember because I'd only ever seen each of the episodes twice back when we were watching and then reviewing and, so on and so forth. But it was a really nice kind of jog of memory because there's a lot that I found that I otherwise may not have thought of when I started in this season, right?
Because I know there was a number of unanswered questions at the end of Season 1. I think we still don't have an explanation for Omega.
Yeah, there's still a lot of questions about her, kind of her, I don't know, her deal, I guess, other than the fact that she's Boba's sister, essentially. You know, the fact that she's unmodified and... But
why would cloners make her?
Sort of unmodified.
That's the question.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the biggest question, right? So what's her deal? Why did they make her?
Yeah.
If they weren't gonna use her to make more clones, which it didn't seem like they were planning to in the first season, why is she so important, right? So, my running
special in some way.
Yeah, exactly. My theory is that they successfully made a clone that could use the Force or like have a midi-chlorian account that was high enough to kind of qualify for those attributes. But
another theory was she was a fresh template model, right? So they could use her DNA to make new clones.
Well, that's just it, right? Because like that really didn't come up a whole lot, like in the first season. So
no, it didn't. This was an early speculation. I think.
Yeah, this was early speculation. Yeah. So but after rewatching the first season, I was like, oh yeah, we don't actually have a whole lot of confirmation on that.
I do think the Force theory is very strong.
Yeah,
like, especially for a kid show. Like, I don't think it's going to be anything like too like the concept behind it isn't going to be like too, I don't know, difficult.
The problem they run into though is they have established that cloning Force users is extremely difficult, and that's why Snoke, whenever they tried to create Snoke, he just kept coming up all mangled.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would make sense if anyone can do it. It's going to be the Kaminoans, right? Like, and maybe it's even the fact that they realize that it's dangerous, right? So that's why they shut them down in the first place. I don't know.
Yeah, because the very last scene of the first season ended off with in the first season we were introduced to an Imperial base, which was the first wave of TK troopers were coming out of there. The first wave being trained by Republic commandos in this big mountain base, which was essentially like a volcano, and the base was like built into it like Utapau or whatever. And the very last scene of the first season was the very probably one of the few surviving Kaminoan people was the cloning lady. Totally forget her name. And she was brought there by the Empire for a greater purpose. No, she was killed in season 1. Lama Su was killed. Lama Su was killed, and Ton Wei was both killed in season 1. This particular one, it was like specifically the cloning science division, and responsible directly for Omega and the Bad Batch's creation. So gotcha. I totally forget exactly what I don't think they brought her there for any particular purpose in season 1. They just kind of ended it off on a way that's like, leave some mystery. It's like, oh, we have big plans for you, and hopefully it goes somewhere. Not like the Zillo Beast arc in the Clone Wars, where it's like, let's take this big huge.
They're still working on it.
Yeah, they're still working on it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you know what? Okay, maybe I'm in the minority saying this, but I would like to see that come back and actually have some part to play in the Bad Batch, the Zillo Beast arc, where they
got to up their game though. Like maybe the Bad Batch, the clones they're all driving different machines, and they have to combine together to make a giant robot to fight.
Just get Godzilla, like mecha Godzilla. It was like one of those stories that's just like, oh yeah, we could use this for new armor and technology advances in the Republic, and then it just never went anywhere. It's like, well, what happened to Palpatine's great plan? It's like,
there's too many plans.
Because they always work out. So
they're on Scarif, one of the code names.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Project
Black Mantle.
Yeah, Black Mantle. Yeah. There's a whole bunch. Yeah. So
speaking of Scarif, did we start on Scarif in this episode?
No, I don't think it was Scarif.
Okay, because I'm wondering,
looked very tropical though.
It was very tropical. It made me wonder if while we were there in Rogue One, there are these giant crabs just around the corner.
Oh man, well I didn't hear any of this playing in the background, so oh wait. Oh no. Where's our music?
Gotta get the tunes.
Yeah, we need the tunes.
I wanted that planet to be full of like some like crab fisherman species. Think of how much those crabs would go for on the galactic market.
Oh man, there's a lot of meat there. What if they just tasted terrible though? Maybe that's why they're not being fished.
It's true.
Oh gosh.
What is this?
Scarif Beach Party.
Scarif. Wow.
Weird Al, man.
It's Weird Al.
from.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, "There's no way that's Weird Al." I was like, "Why does this sound like Weird Al?" Like, but he can't be making music.
Yeah. He's anyone who's seen the Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation. That was the song for the movie.
They hired
Man, what a
Weird Al
guy!
to
The
sing.
fact that he's not only still making music, but he's still making Star Wars music. Mad respect. Oh,
See, Josh had never heard of the original Weird Al Star Wars song from Phantom
no,
Menace.
really?
No, I haven't. What's that one called?
It was based on
Oh, it's just
my American
based
Pie.
on American Pie, right?
Yeah,
The saga begins.
that's probably it.
Is that one?
Yeah.
Lyrical adaptation.
That's the one.
Oh,
In a galaxy far away, now is under an attack. And I thought me and Qui-Gon Jinn could talk the Federation into
Based on a song from American Pie? Is that what it is?
Yep.
no, like the song American Pie, not from the movie American Pie.
Right. Oh, okay,
They
got
locked
it.
the doors and tried to kill us. We escaped from that gas. Then met Jar Jar and Boss Nass.
Nice.
It's like the whole Phantom Menace movie.
Yeah.
I think the story is he got a copy of like a leaked script and like wrote a song on it.
Wow.
So it came out like the same day that the movie launched.
So many good stories about like the Phantom Menace and leak scripts and whatever else, and then the Fanboys movie.
Yeah, that's a good movie
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
So let's talk about that armor color change, because since the last time we saw Clone Force 99, they've gone from red to yellow, and they've got
They
a
were
few
black. I think they had painted their armor black last season.
Yeah,
Black
it,
and red.
it was
pretty good, right?
black
They're
and red.
pretty good.
Yeah, I think like it looks pretty cool, and a bit more kind of I don't know, what's the word you would describe their look now?
Well, before they looked more Black Ops, and now they look closer to just a generic clone commander. I
Yeah,
thought.
like just people gone rogue.
I describe it as there used to be a class in the old Star Wars RPG called or like a skill called jury rig. It was like to be able to piece together a bunch of broken machinery to make to keep the thing you're riding in work, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what they're doing with their armor. Is they're just like they don't have the stuff to repair it anymore, so they're just it's slowly just becoming like this Frankenstein armor. But
Right.
I don't know, the design is really cool.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Were the actual physical pieces different than last season, or just the paint?
feel-
I don't know. Is it just the paint?
I think it's just the paint. If anyone's got any new parts, maybe it's Hunter, but I'm
Yeah.
not entirely sure. I feel like someone had something that they didn't have last time. It may have been like his shoulder pauldron or something like that. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
Because I know they mainly just have clone commando armor with
Yeah.
some random modifications.
Yeah, exactly.
Except Echo's armor seems to be pretty custom all around.
Yeah, and here's hoping that Echo actually gets his
I left
Long John Silver multi-tool arm.
I left my notebook at home, but that is exactly one of the notes I wrote.
What is this?
So Bryce, you know that Treasure Planet, right?
Yeah.
Disney's Treasure Planet.
Disney's Treasure Planet. So the guy in he's kind of a villain, and then he becomes a hero at the end of the film.
Yeah.
He's got that arm which has like that. It's like a Swiss Army arm. He's got everything in
right
it.
now. The design is really cool.
It's
super
so cool. Yeah, he's got like everything from a pistol to a sword to kitchen utilities and everything.
Yeah, it's basically a Swiss Army knife, or like you just kind of pull out whatever tool he wants.
Yeah, and he's even got a cannon in there. A little like a mini cannon, like an arm cannon. It was it's so cool.
Blunderbuss.
Yeah, so it's like the Iron Man kind of arm of
Yeah.
It's so cool, and like you don't even really think about it when you watch the movie how it all fits in that thing. But like I always thought like, oh man, like with Echo's kind of just screwdriver arm, which looks really awkward because it's
Yeah.
shorter than his other arm.
It's like a peg leg for a hand.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
peg leg for a hand. Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't look cool, right? But like, how cool would it be if it just kind of turned into whatever he wanted and like it was?
It's like a skeleton robot hand sometimes.
Yeah, because like I in Star Wars is like no stranger to robot hands. Like I love robot hands, but like he's got a robot peg. Like it's like I don't know what it's
The letter
literally
opener.
like. He's literally just the replacement for an astromech droid on their team.
That's what it is. What's funny, because that was my second note for Echo, was I want him this season to do more than just be an astromech.
Yeah.
Just kind of sidelined, except for like every episode there's an excuse for him.
They got to do something for the guy because he feels a little sad sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
Me too.
When he doesn't look super healthy either, so it doesn't,
No.
doesn't add to the effect. Yeah. Omega, she's improved her efficiency with that energy bow that she picked up in the last season, and she spent some episodes trying to get used to that thing. And this season, it's pretty clear she's spent some time training, and she's certainly got a lot more competent with her combat ability.
I think they had a whole episode about that last season.
They did, yeah. It was like a training thing. They never really displayed that she mastered the bow in one episode, but it's kind of like an Ezra thing. Like he just like slowly gets there, and then you jump seasons, and all of a sudden he's great,
Proficient,
So,
yeah.
Tech is educating her. This first episode gave us the hint that he's been teaching her about the ship, about the galaxy, about everything else, and it's just kind of one of those moral things, I guess, like because younger viewers are watching the show. It's just one of those things like, yeah, you just can't run off in the galaxy and ditch school behind.
That's right. School will find you.
Yeah, even Omega has to do her homework. So yeah, I wanted to say that. Wanda Sykes is in this season.
Yes, I recognized her
knew it
voice.
was her. Yeah.
Yeah, she plays a client. I didn't catch the name, which the Bad Batch gets the hint about Dooku's treasure trove that the Empire is about to loot and take for themselves.
It's a war chest. So it's the things that he was using to fund the war.
Right. Yeah. And man, he's got a lot of it. He's got
a lot of stuff.
So much.
I mean, it makes sense. The war was pretty massive.
Yeah, but like,
No,
Yeah.
I'm actually curious to see exactly how that went about because my understanding was more Palpatine and the banks are funding both sides.
yeah.
So why would he need all these stolen and confiscated goods to fund it?
Well, I think the way that Echo puts it is that he was essentially just taking it all for himself. Like, he probably
Funding.
did fund a lot of stuff, like, bribery and stuff like that, but he said something about how this is what corruption is like, like this is like the riches of Count Dooku. Like this is just kind of like what happens. And
Dragon sickness.
yeah, and like corruption's yeah, exactly. Yeah, dragon sickness. Yeah. Well, corruption's always been like a focal point for they did a whole Clone Wars arc on Mandalore as well, like about corruption. So thought it was interesting that they brought that up again.
I mean, he probably has a lot of just like family wealth too, right?
Yeah,
Like he comes from royalty, right? And he kind of the state of his planet kind of shows that it's not like they reinvest into their right. So it kind of makes sense for this 1%er kind of count rich man just to be like to have all this wealth just sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah. It's funny when those ships take off with all his cargo, knowing there was like a few of them. I was like, man, Dooku's a hoarder. He got a lot of crap.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So because Dooku's dead, I thought it was an interesting discussion that took place, between the main characters, and they actually like talked about Dooku for, a brief second there. I thought that was kind of interesting. And I like how this show has resolved a lot of things in Clone Wars or Revenge of the Sith or whatever that I just didn't know was resolvable, and things I never really thought of before, which have been very useful to kind of see unfold on screen, right? It's like, I never really thought about like, oh, what had happened to all of Dooku's money? I've never thought about that. And yet it makes
Palpatine took it all.
Yeah, that's the thing. I never even thought about it. I was like, oh yeah, like, but if someone told me like, yeah, what do you think happened to all Dooku's like treasures and like riches and stuff?
And he's the last of his family line, right? Like,
yeah.
His
sister's dead.
His sister died in the
novel. But yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Was this a recent novel?
2 years ago.
Audiobook drama.
Oh, I didn't realize he had a sister.
Dooku Jedi.
It's really
Lost.
good. Definitely worth checking out.
Definitely.
It's an audiobook only though.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, well, you can get a novelization, but it's just the script. So it's like it doesn't read like a book. It's like you read the character name and then,
It's like a old radio play.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool that they brought him up, and the place of residence, of course, seeing that again, and his people on Sereno
was left of them because the planet was orbitally bombarded.
Yeah,
which I didn't realize they had done. So did they?
The Republic? Damn.
Yeah,
apparently the Empire.
No, the Empire at that point.
I see.
Does that mean that Palpatine bombarded all of the Separatist planets?
I don't really know.
We know they gassed Geonosis.
We know Raxus is relatively untouched. I mean, that big city is still there, at least in the first season, because they rescue a senator from there who the Empire is trying to kind of sway to kind of go along with things. But
is that where the Techno Union's from?
No, they're from a different planet. But I thought it was just interesting that they did bombard his planet out of all places, right? As like kind of, I feel like it's one of those twisted, like, you failed me as my apprentice. I'm gonna just like wreck all your stuff. I'm like,
Palpatine's just a child, just stomping on his. It was like his brother's toys.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know you both have heard of Project. What was it? Project Cinder. The contingency plan. Of course, Palpatine had in place when if he ever died, to wipe the Empire and the New Republic or Rebellion off the face of the galaxy.
If I can't have it, no one can.
Yeah, exactly. And like he starts with these massive like weather satellites above Naboo that's like supposed to cause storms and to the point where it just rips the planet apart and makes it uninhabitable. So yeah, it was like what is he doing? Like that's his homeworld. At least starts with that. Like, you kidding me?
No one see him installing these things. No one.
Yeah.
No one was allowed to question it.
Yeah. It's like if you ask George, I bet he'd say, well, people just thought it was for like better internet or something.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Better satellite TV.
That's what Elon Musk is doing too. He just tells us all for better internet. It's for his contingency plan.
Yeah. Death rays.
There's some real life. Someone just stole it from Elon Musk.
Yeah. Soon you'll be able to access Twitter in the middle of like the Amazon.
Yeah. Is it this episode where tech is kind of like we start to see like a little divide between how they want to like proceed as a group? Because tech starts talking more about like doing a bigger part.
Yeah, it was it Tech or Echo? One of the two is confronts Hunter about it, and they say
maybe it's Echo.
Yeah, he says like we got to continue fighting, and then but Hunter's really on the side of doing what's best for Omega because he's kind of become this father figure for Omega, right? And initially in season 1, like he tried to pawn her off to Cut, that clone who had gone rogue back in like season 1 of the Clone Wars, and like they found him stranded somewhere, and he like married a Twi'lek lady and had kids and stuff like that. So like he tries to pawn her off to him, and get them to look after her while they go off and do Clone Force 99 stuff, and run away from the Empire and stuff. And yeah, I think Echo is just like, no, we can't like, and now he's just kind of embraced the idea that no, we'll look after her ourselves, but Echo's like, we can't do that. Like, we have to look at what's out there. Like, we got to fight the Empire. Like, no one's happy with this. So,
what? The more that I think about that the Clone Force 99 did this, makes me realize that in The Mandalorian, it really shouldn't have been Din Djarin. It should have been Boba Fett.
Boba Fett for the entire Mandalorian show.
Yeah,
but then we probably wouldn't have Grogu. I don't think Boba would.
Well, the reason why I'm saying is because of Grogu, because we're seeing the clones they're now attached and taking care of Omega. So then, if Boba were to do that with Grogu, it would just be the exact same thing, the exact same parent, basically.
Yeah.
Like same DNA.
Did you guys notice how much did you kind of jump up in your seat when you saw the smashed window in Dooku's lair behind his desk?
So I was actually first taken aback by realizing that his office was on Sereno, which I don't know if they ever established that in the Clone Wars.
We've seen it. We've seen it before.
We've seen the room, but
Yeah.
did they ever say what planet it was on?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's
Went over
training
my head
Savage
there.
Opress outside of his castle. But what I was kind of like hinting at is like the smashed window.
Saj Ventress.
Yes. There
Yeah.
you go. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I was leading into that because I was remembering that's where I remember the office
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
Is when Saj Ventress tried to assassinate him when she first went back to the Night Sisters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I love the fact that he's just such a lazy guy to the point where he's just let this window just stay smashed for years.
They didn't have the
hasn't gone
budget.
back since that point.
Yeah.
War chest. They couldn't take it out of there. Palpatine wouldn't let them.
Oh, man. We had a pretty exciting ending to this episode with, Omega, Tech, Echo. They get stuck in a cargo box. Hunter and Wrecker try to save them, fail in doing so, and that leads us into the next episode. So the re-entry of the cargo box into the atmosphere. I thought that was a really well pulled off sequence. Did you guys like that?
I did, yeah. I thought that was super cool. When they were trying to figure out a way to get off confined escape pod, like, oh, just detach the container. I was not expecting all of them to just completely fall off the ship and detach. I thought it'd be just the one.
That would have been Rebel style. Rebel
Imagine the
budget cut style.
Yeah, budget style.
if there's like a gold rush now to Sereno, like all these wacky like treasure hunters, searching all these cargo boxes all over the planet. It's like could be a show in itself.
I kind of like that idea actually. Like now that you mention it, because like maybe later on in the season they could find themselves running low on funds and like they've got to like pull off some mission by going back to Sereno and try and steal some treasure, like while avoiding the Empire or whatever.
Well, at the very end, jumping ahead, but the clone commander talking to the Imperial guy says they have like 80% or 88% or something recovered.
That's true.
Oh, true. Yeah. I totally forgot about that.
But hey, that's 10% of $100 billion is still a lot of money.
Yeah.
Forgive me for wanting a history channel style like crappy reality show like Treasure of Oak Island where it's
Sereno Gold.
Yeah, Sereno Gold. We've been digging up gold here. We haven't found anything yet, but we've spent billions of credits.
It's out there. We'll just keep looking.
Yeah.
My family's been on this planet digging for over 3 generations.
Have you found anything?
Not yet.
No.
But it's out there. It's out there.
I don't know about you guys, but I really loved the Furious 7 moment when the cargo box on the cliff ledge, it was like the Paul Walker bus scene from Fast and Furious
When
7.
it flips over.
Yeah. Okay, just more evidence that Fast and Furious and Star Wars amazing crossover.
It needs a mashup.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone should make that.
Oh,
Don't steal our idea.
Wink, 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 wink.
Anyone listening to that, don't steal our idea.
That's true.
Yeah. It's going to happen someday. It's going to end up on the
Redact
YouTube channel.
that. Edit that out. Edit that out.
Edit it out.
Yeah.
Gonna protect our IPs.
That's right. Oh, man. Omega is entranced by the treasure in this episode in a way that reminds us all of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
There you go. What should I fill it in?
Indiana Jones and Dooku's gold.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones and the Goblet of Fire.
Yeah.
More like the goblet of life. So yeah, when Indy sees the cup kind of teetering on the edge of the rock as the whole ground is like crumbling beneath him and his dad, and his dad kind of like looks at it and he's like, Indy, let it go. And he's kind of gonna let go of the idea that this is immortality, and for them this money is freedom. Like, you know, and in the beginning of this arc, Sid actually says that. And she says, like, you can buy your freedom with what you can steal from this heist. Like, that's everything you'll ever need to start over. And it's a tempting aspect of what they're trying to do because, you know, obviously Echo has strong feelings that they have to just maintain to the mission of like fighting their enemy, which has now become the Empire. And it's tough, I think, for a kid like Omega who's never really had a childhood. In this episode, they meet a guy named Rumar Adel, and he gifts Omega a kaleidoscope. And it's almost like she's never really had things before. She's never had stuff. Like, she's never even had a toy.
There's been nothing for just the sake of enjoyment.
Yeah.
She grew up on Camino at, like, the medical facility.
Yeah.
And then was immediately on the run.
Yeah, she was, like, born to just work her job. And, you know, she was probably...
Hang out with an old defunct clone. That was her.
She was like...
Clone 99.
Yeah, it's like, you know, she... even in the first season,
friend.
like, she picks up Wrecker's little, like, plushie, you know, thing that he's got. And
Right.
you know, she was kind of just, I guess, enamored by it, or I guess, you know, just kind of like, you know, wow, what is this? And, you know, it's the same with the kaleidoscope. She just had no idea. It's just like, it's those little things that keep her an interesting character for me. I don't know what it is like about that specifically. It's just, I think it's kind of, there's something nice seeing a character that goes through something that, like, I guess you know what it is and you can relate to, but they're experiencing it for the first time. And for her, it's like this simple thing.
That's why parents have kids.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I guess so. And like for her, it's like it's just the simple things like, oh, I've never been to space before. And like, I've never been off Camino before. I've never seen what snow looks like. You know,
Never killed someone.
Never killed anybody. Yeah.
One more step, and it's the farthest I've ever been from the Shire.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's exactly that moment. And you know, like it's always those little things that just kind of keep you like, oh yeah, you know, it just kind of like resets you and puts you back, and it reorients your perspective on what her story is in this greater thing. Is she doesn't know anything about the galaxy, and like, you know, we're seeing this all unfold through her eyes. She doesn't know what the Clone Wars was, you know, other than the fact that all these people that she kind of looked at as brothers were going off and dying, and now they're all trying to kill them. You know, like, she lives a very sad life, and I think like it's supposed to really kind of connect Hunter to this father figure, realizing what's out there and just kind of knowing the value that he can provide a new life for her, you know, and so that she doesn't need to live through what he did. So I really like all of that stuff. It's great.
How old is Omega at this point? Do we know? Like, kind of roughly her age?
I feel like this came up when we were talking about the first season, but I can't remember what we came to conclusion wise.
It's just like an interesting, like, because she'll be becoming like a, you know, like a teenager, I'm assuming fairly soon, right? And
Yeah,
like,
I think she's around 10, like maybe like 9.
She's exactly Boba's age. And
okay.
Roughly. I guess slightly younger than Boba,
I was
technically,
gonna say,
because Boba's
Boba's
the
probably
first.
like 13.
Yeah, because Boba is Alpha. He is clone Alpha, and she's Omega. So she's the one that came after.
You know, Omega means end, though, so I was assuming she was the last clone.
Well, she was the last. She would be like a baby because she's got no growth enhancements.
Yeah, right. That, which is what I was going to bring up.
I think she's the last of unmodified clones.
Oh, maybe. It could be
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
the last of 2.
The last of 2, exactly. Yeah.
So that was confirmed that she... Right, because they're saying she's older than Clone Force 99.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Right. That's
so she was in. She was born before. So I assume when Jango made his arrangement with the Kaminoans, they made him Boba, paid him the money, and then they made Omega as their first clone, and then they decided to then replicate Jango's DNA and start tampering with that stuff. But they always had her as like kind of like a, you know,
sort of test or
yeah,
whatever.
a benchy. If you have a 3D printer. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting, because that would mean then if she was force sensitive, they were maybe trying to do that as an option and decided against it before the Clone Army went into full production.
Yeah, it makes for an interesting story, doesn't it? And I love how like all these like if that's the case, that is. But you know, Star Wars is no stranger of like adding details later on, which kind of unlock a new perspective on things that we already knew. So
it's all Dave Filoni's move.
Yeah, exactly.
Find a story where he didn't know there was one to begin with.
Yeah.
But I think where I was going is is her age is like a really good. I think the newest like God of War games do this really well, where you see the transition of like the older caretaker transitioning out of like their hoorah like aggressive phase. You know, like I think all the clones are kind of like, man, we're gonna done fighting. Like we should really settle down. And then Omega is now entering that phase where she's like, I want adventure. Like I want treasure. Let's do some like, you know, I want to like shoot a bunch of crabs with my bow.
So the old people have to begrudgingly go along with it.
Yeah. And try to be like, look, this isn't like, this won't give you satisfaction in the long run. It's just like a really cool, I think, dynamic that I think hopefully we kind of see.
Yeah, for sure. Wrecker and Hunter versus the clone troopers in the village wreckage was awesome. Like I loved that sequence a lot. You know, them trying to fix the tanks, you know, like the droid tanks and
taking
blow
the
them.
cannon.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. I like that.
That was really cool. And
I wasn't expecting that until they did it.
Yeah, it kind of put Wrecker's skills to a new set of knowledge to which I don't think any of us knew he had. You know, he's always kind of the big muscly guy.
Right.
But not really the brains. And yet I guess there's something there because
he knows
like
his heavy weapons.
He knows his weaponry, yeah. So he was able to like makeshift, you know, like what you're saying, Bryce, the skill in the RPG.
Yeah, jury rigging.
Yeah. He jury rigged something together and that was the key to getting out of that you know, that event, right? Like that
yeah, that's cool.
So yeah.
And I loved at the end when they'd escaped. And then on the ship, and he kind of looks down at the cannon he made. He just looks so proud of it.
Yeah, it's a nice touch.
Yeah.
He took it with him, right?
Yeah. So I think this is going to be his weapon from now on, at least for this season.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. It had a good sound effect. That was for sure.
It was cool.
Yeah.
And I got to say, next time we do a Star Wars D&D game, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Whoever's GMing, heads up.
Yeah, all right. That's funny.
Tech fixes and restores a data unit that contains history of the people of Sereno, the Serenians. And it was just one of those little moments again where it's just like everyone's the same now. His retort to Tech calling him a separatist, he says, "We did exist before the war, you know." Yeah, like no one likes the Empire now. Like everyone's under the same boot, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone's being squished by the same shoe, and you know, in a way, the Empire's removed conflict, but it's created unification. Like against
conflict.
Yeah, and that unification is going to, of course, later rise up, and we're going to see that happen in Andor.
I can't wait till we get the sequel.
Can't wait till we get yeah. Exactly.
I think isn't there like another sequel coming out? Something like about A New Hope?
Yeah, I think so. But before that, there's another movie before that, I think.
Oh man,
can't wait to see that one.
So much to look forward to.
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the sound design on this show is fabulous. Like it's fantastic. So great job, David W. Collins, because you are involved, sir. I've been following the tweets. Love the V-Wing sounds, just like Ties in the end of Revenge of the Sith or Battlefront 2, the old school one. Anyone who's played V-Wings, those have always had the TIE Fighter sounds, and
I didn't realize that. That's pretty cool. They kept that way.
Yeah,
because when they first showed them at the very end of Revenge of the Sith, they did from the rear. They had a very TIE Fighter look to it. So it almost looked like that was kind of the precursor.
And they sound like it too. And they also shoot like green laser blasts. So yeah, they're supposed to kind of.
Do you know in the lore if they have like ion engines? Is it the same kind of tech?
No idea.
Twin ion engines?
I don't know. Maybe you can look it up on the Wikipedia while we're.
I'll look it up quick.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and that ending. Admiral Rampart, I think it is, shoots that clone to save
commander.
Yeah, the commander that kind of like spent the whole episode hunting.
That was
the Bad Batch.
harsh. That was
Crazy.
That was
That caught me off guard for sure.
Yeah.
I was like,
I think it's like really, it's like the end of an era, right, for the Empire, and it's not like by accident that they're letting this stuff happen, because they're getting rid of the old guard, right?
Yeah.
In this kind of way, you just flush your military, so you can like bring in all these new guys, right?
I mean, it makes sense because from what we know of the clones, they're very honorable. It's like they're well trained and they'll take orders, but they're also the reason why they're always put up as better than droids is they can also think for themselves. So as we saw with this commander, like he's not willing to go against protocol to lie for something that was kind of needless other than for one person's pride.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then
because in the Republic, that's not how it worked.
Yeah. No, that was, you did it honorably and by the book. And if you ever had to cheat or wiggle, it was always for a good cause. Like like when they had to rebel against
Krell.
Krell, thank you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, for sure. The Empire is a different system. You know, it's all about people's own self-interests. And, you know, you see that a lot with the admirals and the Moffs. It's all just a power struggle. It's the same in Andor. You know, we saw Dedra go up against people within her own, what do you want to call it, like a cohort or like a, you know, like her department, I guess. You know, she was kind of like struggling to access information in a coworker's sector, which if he just gave her access to this information, then all the problems would be solved. They'd probably be on the rebels like that.
Fast, Sam.
Yeah, but because everyone's only working for their own self-interest of trying to climb the ladder, they're all like a bunch of, you know, they're also fat and satisfied. Like they're all, you know,
in there.
yeah, so much corruption, right? And because of that, the Empire is very quickly going to fall apart because of that, right? And it's like the Empire lasts hardly how many years? They kind of made a joke about it at one point in
it's like half a generation, right?
Yeah, it was, what was it in the Book of Boba Fett or
like 25-ish years?
I don't know. I totally forget. It was I feel like I either read it or heard it somewhere, but someone makes a remark about the Empire only lasting like 30 years rather than, or not even 30 years, like, you know. Yeah, about, well, maybe, 25 years.
I know exactly what you were talking about, but I can't think of where it was.
Yeah. I forget where I heard it now, but yeah, it's like, you know, like, oh yeah, like the Empire's like barely been around for 25 years. Like, oh, it was it was in Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, it was the Armorer. When Din Djarin goes to talk to the Armorer in that episode that we spent with the Mandalorian and Grogu, she says something along the lines of how Mandalorians have been around for thousands of years or centuries or whatever. You know, the Empire barely lasted 25 years or something, she said.
Yeah, I think they were talking about how like these kind of big political powers, they come and go. Right?
Yeah, they come. Yeah,
20 years, 30 years. There's always someone new, but you know what? We're gonna. And I think that's very true, right?
Yeah,
like
totally. Yeah, it's totally true. Yeah, so you know, I thought that was a nice. We kind of ended up with that conversation there, but you know, it's definitely like it's all connected, right? And you know, it's true. You know, it's about the clone kind of just being shot, and you know, he's like,
there's one thing specifically about that I thought was actually super cool. So in one scene, they actually answered the question that a lot of people always bring up, which was why did the Empire switch from clones to regular, just like volunteers? And that I'm sure that's the main reason.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they're like, the stormtroopers are just kind of willing to kind of bend over backwards for their superiors, right? Whereas like with the clones,
they turn a blind eye, and they themselves can be corrupted.
They don't want perfect soldiers, right? They want soldiers that'll do what they tell them to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect,
Yeah, they don't want the perfect soldier, and they don't want a soldier who does what they think is right. They want the grunt.
And that's why I think it seemed like the clones were phased out pretty quickly.
The first season really got into that.
Like, what did Rex say in Rebels? Like, it did seem like they had just retired.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to how he gets involved with the Empire again in a way that he's no longer, because of course in the Bad Batch season 1 he's always saying like he's lying low, right? He's always like got his hood up. Right. He's not showing his face anywhere. And
he was on the run because of the end of Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes me wonder, how does he get back involved with the Empire that they're just shamming some, report, because they're hanging out on that moon, right? And
he's got to steal someone's identity, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's something going on. Something's up. I think the Bad Batch will be the show to connect the dots. And in the first season, we saw Gregor make his return, which is one of the two others that shows up on his walker. I think the Commander Wolf is the other one.
The other one, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna eventually get those dots connected, but it'll take some time. I think maybe this season, maybe we'll see the Wolf story. Who knows? So, yeah. Well, that about sums it up for episodes 1 and 2. I'm really looking forward to Wednesday.
Do we want to speculate? What do we think is going to happen this season?
Yeah. What do we? Yeah. Bryce, you got anything?
I think there's going to be there's got to be some sort of rift that forms. I think between the clone family, between like Echoes wanting to do something more, and pseudo talking about maybe these like proto rebels like just joining some sort of organization against the Empire. And then the other side is going to be like Hana being like, no, we got to like protect our family.
Right.
And protect Omega. And then also there's going to be, I think Omega is going to do something that gets one of them hurt. I think that's
like permanently or
possibly. Yeah. Like I think, the young, ecstatic young person always has to do something like
the young
crazy
and the young and the reckless.
Yeah, right, and has to like learn the consequences of their action at some point. So
yeah,
I think that'll probably happen too.
What about you, Blake?
What about you guys?
I think you are onto something with the Rex stuff. I think that's going to come up.
Do you think we'll see any like any different characters, some like main players coming in?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I actually made a list of all of the surprise cameos of characters that we had from
Cad Bane.
Yeah,
and
it was Cad Bane, Saw Gerrera. We had Kanan Jarrus, a young Caleb Doom show up in the beginning of the show. Depa Billaba, of course, like with that first initial episode. We
could have Ahsoka show up
technically. Yeah, we could have that show. Yeah, for sure. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find the list right now, but I'm also trying to think. What else? Who else did we have? We had Tarkin, of course, pop up in the first season.
I'm blanking on her name, but the assassin turned sidekick of Boba Fett.
Oh, Fennec. Yes.
Fennec Shan, yes.
Fennec Shan.
Fennec Shan.
Yeah, she was also a season 1 cameo. But yeah, we could get quite a few. Like there's quite a few good season 1 cameos for the Bad Batch. So, I'm really looking forward to it.
You don't think they would throw in like Chewbacca or something, do you?
Well, from the trailer, we are going to get Gungi, the Wookiee Padawan Jedi. Gungi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gungi.
We also know from the trailer from season 2, we know for sure that Commander Cody will show up.
It'd be cool to see a lot of these like clone commanders that kind of are out of a job, that are kind of like they're used to commanding like legions of soldiers, and now they're put on like some weird security duty or I don't know, as guards for forced mining or something like that,
Yeah. Well, whatever it is, 9 years later, we get led up to that little cameo in Obi-Wan Kenobi where the clone's just on the street begging.
See, I thought that was so cool, and that's exactly kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, that was exactly it.
I'll see you guys in the next one.
Sounds good. We'll see you out there. Keep flying.
All right, big thank you to everyone tuning in at home. Always listening to Star Wars Escape Pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can find us on YouTube with all existing Star Wars Escape Pod episodes. Find us on Snipped, Twitter, Instagram with @SW Escape Podcast. Shoot us an email at swescapepodcast@gmail.com. And we will see you in the next one on Star Wars Escape Pod. May the Force be with you.